Well, everybody, I'm back. Welcome back to my channel. If you are stumbling on me for the first time ever, I'm super excited you're here. I have taken a month off. I think it's been almost a month exactly since I decided to stop or put on pause, I guess you could say, the Wake Up Call podcast. And if you've been around my world for a little bit of time, you'll have been witness to this incredible journey that continues to unfold. If you are new to my world, you can fill your boots with some past episodes. I would definitely say the last Wake Up Call episode on taking a pause, and also the episode on justification would be really, really good for you to listen to, because I'm finding these things that I've been talking about are very, very common with the collective, and a lot of people aren't talking about it. And these are the things that are keeping people stuck. It's energy that needs to move. There's things that are clouding your intuition and are not helping you see what you need to edit, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, and what you need to be doing to move your business and life forward. And it's really, really important. And quite frankly, people, I love you, but it's getting worse. We actually have a consumption epidemic in this world. And more people are getting sucked into AI, sucked into social media, sucked into horrible conversations that are just clouding their judgment. And you know what? I'm going to tell you that the really, really wise people at the top of this food chain, they're not scrolling. They're not watching Reels or TikTok or scrolling YouTube mindlessly and watching escapism videos. If they are watching any content, it's extremely intentional for them to learn something or even do some data work, let's say. But they're not just mindlessly scrolling videos on cats and all the things. So, anywho, so what ended up happening was when I decided to put the Wake Up Call podcast on hold after being a podcaster for 5.5 years, all these other amazing things opened up for me and also for my husband and I with our business, Good Karma Sportfishing and Coaching, and also for him. To be fair, also for him. So it's been a miraculous month, and I'm going to share some bits and pieces of it here and there. But some of it, you know what, quite frankly, I'm going to keep either to myself or only for private clients, because a lot of it is truly next level, and I value my private clients so much. And you know what? They deserve to have some of this really next level information and content that has happened and come through. And yeah, you know what? You can schedule a call with me. You can schedule a 1-hour call. You can schedule to work with me longer term packages, 3 months or 6 months. But I definitely am a huge advocate, especially right now, for one-on-one coaching versus all these other programs and masterminds and group coaching calls and all these other things that you're spending all of this money on. $111, $22, $222, $500, all these little bits of money, they're adding up, and all that content is causing more confusion for you. Tell me I'm not telling the truth, and I will definitely take you to debate on that, because it's real. It's real. And I know, because I've been caught up in it too, to be honest. So in this past month, I've had so many revelations that have brought me back to when I wrote my books in 2021, which are both on Amazon, Confidence Mastery for Couples and Life and Love Lessons. And it's funny, when you're a writer or even a content creator, you often maybe don't like what you created the next day, especially if you're someone who runs fast like I do. Sometimes I'll watch like a video that I created and I'm like, oh gosh, you know, I just don't resonate with that anymore, because I have another level of thought or unveiling or an aha moment, however you want to put it, that's happened since I created that piece of content. And that's how I feel about my 2 books. But if I were to read them from an aspect of where I was back then, it would be very helpful for those people. So I've had to do a little grounding work on that over the years in terms of content and frequency, and really understanding, where was I, where am I now, and where are people? And people are all over different frequency charts. So it's really up to the person to decide what level of content works for them and where they are in their journey. And that's why too, it's okay to outgrow people. And it's okay to maybe land on someone's content and it doesn't resonate with you, but then maybe it does 3 months later, or maybe it does 6 months later. We're all on this journey together, and we forget that we are all at different frequencies and different frequencies throughout our lives. Heck, I could change in 15 minutes and be like, I don't like that person anymore. And that's just totally normal. And we need to stop beating ourselves up over that. So that was a huge piece of my journey this year in terms of letting go of things and editing space in my life and in my calendar, and really taking into account, who am I? What's my destiny? What am I a master at? And how am I showing up? So really, you might have to rewind that because I just dumped a lot of goodies right there. But those are things that I would take some notes on and do a really deep dive and see where you are at as far as being self-actualized and understanding and embodying where you are in this journey. So what I did, and I did a post about this just last week maybe on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn about the word expansion. So expansion is actually part of my gene key. That's one of my key words, and I internally live by expansion. That's what lights me up, and I've talked about that before on podcasts. I love to crack the code. That's my thing. So Ryan's thing is fishing and science and cracking the code on that. Mine's cracking the code on all the brain stuff. I love it, and it's my jam. I could study all this all day long. So in January, all of a sudden the word expansion kept coming to me in terms of claiming it as a word. And I don't know if anyone else out there watching this video has ever had a word of the year. It's kind of a social media, thing that goes around. People do posts, what's your word of the year? People do that for engagement reasons or for polls, anything like that. And I've always kind of thought it was very hokey, to be honest. I'm ugh, another one of those word of the year posts, right? Kind of everyone jumping on that demure train, and no one seems to even understand what the whole initial concept was. But anywho, that's another story. And so expansion was my word. And I'm you know what? I'm going to claim this. I know it's kind of hokey, but I'm going to claim expansion as my word. And I approached it from two different aspects. I approached it from the 3D aspect of truly expanding my network. What does that mean? Joining networking groups, showing up on Zoom calls, scheduling Zoom calls outside of the networking group, spending more time on social media, especially LinkedIn, connecting with people, and really doing the 3D activity around that. In conjunction, which I didn't share in that post, I was also doing a lot of outside type spiritual work. And those are also things I would share with a private client versus on a YouTube channel, the different tools and rituals and things I've been doing over the years. Really, this has been a journey of years of work. And so I was doing all this internal expansion work, but things outside and in nature. And it was truly eye-opening, because then in the spring, things started to unfold in a different way. And I'm going to reference another person's podcast, but I was a guest on the Girl Boss Red Flags podcast, which is an amazing podcast in general about the coaching industry and marketing and what's really going on out there in the coaching industry. I highly recommend this podcast. And I was a guest on that podcast, and I talked about how in April, I ended up exiting a group I was in, and a week later, my husband had this like total epiphany, like turnaround, and really asked me to step up my involvement in our joint business together, Good Karma Sportfishing and Coaching. When that started to happen, not only did I have to literally edit things from my calendar to do that, to create space, but it also was in conjunction with the feeling inside of me that some of the shit just wasn't working and needed to go, and I wasn't aligned. And I really, really challenge you to take a deep look at that. Go, where am I showing up and doing things because some other coach is using FOMO marketing about her results, which may or may not be even real? Again, listen to the Girl Boss podcast. And where am I thinking that these are things that I should be doing as well to move the needle forward? And let me tell you, I had a list. I had a list of a lot of groups, primarily groups, networking groups that I had joined, and you think to yourself, oh, $100 a month isn't a big deal, or $400 for the year isn't a big deal, or $50 a month for isn't a big deal. But all of those expenses start to add up. In addition to the expense, it's really just your time. And what was happening was really seeing that people were treating each other like a revolving door. Oh, let's just jump on a call. How many times do you get messaged on LinkedIn for someone's event, someone's newsletter? Let's hop on a call. Or they want to sell you something and you truly know they want to sell you something. Let's hop on a call. And you're just a revolving door. You're just a revolving door. I want you to really think about this. This is truly an epidemic of what's going on out there online in conjunction to what's being taught in the coaching industry. It's something that is wasting people's time and is out of alignment with what they should really be doing, and you're caught up in the should. So my husband even was sometimes like rolling his eyes when I was on another Zoom call, like, what are you doing? And there's a lot packed into what I saw within Zoom calls, communities, leadership within communities. That's a whole other topic. And I saw everything just unfolding so quickly. So when I ended up putting my podcast, The Wake Up Call, on pause, it was in conjunction with doing all of that work, really shifting focus and energy and time away from all of those groups, all of those Zoom calls, all of those like sitting on calls, trying to show up online every day and being part of like LinkedIn pods. And I've met some great people, don't get me wrong. It's actually not about the people per se. It's about the activity. That activity that's being taught out there just isn't really for everybody. And I'm going to dare say it's not for the vast majority of you. So you have to really look at, what are your goals and where's your mastery? Again, going back to what I said earlier in the podcast where I said you should probably take some notes, because you have to really look at those things and go then, okay, is this activity and how I see myself with my mastery and where I wish to be in alignment? And for me, it wasn't. And the same thing with the podcast. I was like, I want to be more on YouTube. I love YouTube. I've talked about this a million times. And we're growing our YouTube with Good Karma Sportfishing and Coaching. My husband's totally on board with that. And we want to do more partnerships and collaborations. YouTube's where it's at. Did you know that YouTube is the #1 Googled word? Seriously. Go to your computer or look at your phone right now and just ask, what's the #1 Googled word? And it's YouTube. YouTube is replacing television. It is, if it hasn't already, for a lot of people, including myself. Like, totally. Maybe I'll watch one TV show a night if there's something good on, but I'm certainly not sitting in front of the TV. For the most part, it's off. I'm watching YouTube either on my phone or on the computer. So why would I be doing all these other things? Why? Why would I be trying to have a podcast? Why wouldn't I just spend more effort and energy in the YouTube piece of it? And it seems so silly because really doing the podcast piece, like loading it into Libsyn and putting it on my website, didn't really take that much time. So I think that's where in my head I kept going back and forth like, well, this doesn't really take me that much time. You know, should I do it? Again, the shoulds. Do I need to do it? The need. And what happened then was when the first week went by, after I had put the podcast on pause, I woke up Sunday morning, which is normally for the past 5.5 years when I would release my podcast, which started with a Good Karma Success Coach way back when in 2019. You can go ahead and Google it. There's lots of amazing episodes. I realized like, wow, I feel so free. It was like a whole weight had been lifted off my shoulders of something that I thought I should be doing. And I really believe that pretty much every one of you out there watching this video has at least one of these things, at least one of them. You probably have a whole list like I had from earlier this year, but you at least have one that you're like, gosh, I'm just not in alignment with this. This doesn't match up with my identity. This doesn't match up with my mastery. This doesn't match up with where I see myself going and how I need to be in the moment in order to get there in the future. And it was just like a whole new world. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to load my podcast today. That's amazing. And I'm going to take my time and regroup on the YouTube and see what comes to me. In the meantime, I have 5.5 years of content out there for people to fill their boots. So I put positive energy towards my content, kept showing up on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I have a weekly newsletter. I'll put a freebie in the show notes for you if you wish to sign up. You get the free Believe and Take Action Daily Guide. It's an amazing guide that will really help you move forward in your life and business. So I have all those tools. I have them. Why would I think or believe that I have to keep doing something on a hamster wheel that really isn't fulfilling me? And it wasn't driving any more business or results either. It was just kind of one more thing to do on my to-do list. And it changed everything. It changed everything. And since then, I even did something even bolder that I would only share with private clients, the whole why behind it, all of the things I saw from this expansion level that I view life through. And that is, I exited out of a mastermind of someone else's that I still am paying on. Yes. And that was just the perfect thing at the perfect timing that continued to just shift so much in Ryan and I's reality. It's bananas. So if you are someone out there that feels like they're in a mastermind hamster wheel, whether it's you as the coach that has masterminds or is trying to create masterminds or has like energy around masterminds, or you as a client in someone else's mastermind that needs someone to speak to about this from both sides, because I've had groups before, now I've gone to one-on-one, and I've been in a mastermind before. Definitely book a one-on-one session with me just for the hour. That's probably all you need if you want to talk about this, and have some mentorship around it so you know you're not alone, because there's a lot of feelings and energy that are attached to masterminds that no one is talking or sharing about out there. And I just feel more comfortable that that's a private conversation, a private confidential conversation with someone that they need someone to talk to. So book a session. So anyhow, so a lot going on. I have pages and pages and pages of notes. Ryan and I are going to start doing YouTube together on this channel. Keep the fishing pure. There may be a little bit of cross promotion, but for the most part, he's going to be with me doing videos on this channel, and we're going to be sharing things from the lens of everything from our amazing, unparalleled journey, which includes entrepreneurship, being a couple in business, now being both of us are over 50, we're also child-free. So we have a lot of different topics that we're going to be talking about in conjunction with those things, and a lot of things about emotional health, and a lot of really great business insight and tips. So I am excited, and I appreciate your subscription. So please subscribe and like, and I would love a comment if you feel so compelled to share. And then I'm going to leave you with one other tip for today. So I've given you a lot to think about. So in the thinking, which could be a whole other podcast, but I'll just leave it at thinking. Make sure to have a journal. I have always been someone who journals, and a lot of people do. I think that's amazing. And come up with your own system for journaling, but I'll just share mine, and you're more than welcome to adopt it, because I do not feel that you need to go buy some $100 big ass journal that is filled with all this stuff that you really don't need. It's just their way to sell the product, right? Let's think about this, people, and be smart. And years ago, I ended up buying this other big coach who I don't even follow. I bought her $100 journal. It was like a brick. And I think it was more than a brick. It was like 3 bricks. It was so ginormous. I couldn't bring it anywhere. It was huge. I had all this stuff I don't need. And I ended up throwing it in the garbage after a month. I literally threw it in the garbage. And she just sent out, I'm not even on her email list. I guess I am, but not really. She just sent out an email saying she's bringing her journal back. And I was like, oh God, it gave me so much anxiety because it was such a waste of $100, and it was just a waste of time for me to even think that like it was something that I should be doing. Again, another should. So I bought this beautiful journal. It's from Bookaroo, but you can get a journal anywhere for any price point. But I want to say this was probably $30, and I just love it. It's amazing. It has lined paper. It has one of these bookmarky things. I bought these little magnet bookmarks separately. It has a pencil thing on the side. But how I use my journal, which I want to share with you, and you're welcome to adopt this, is 2 different things I journal about. Number 1, I journal all of my daily rituals. And again, this is something that I would probably share more about like in a private call. Maybe I'll share a little bit on a YouTube video one day. But I have a lot of different rituals that I do, and for different reasons. And I've done them for years, and I'm always tweaking and looking at them and evaluating them. So I always detail out what I did. This does not take a lot of time. It's just remembering to do it and to have your journal handy. The other thing I do is that has changed everything. So I'll share this big tip. Is I started journaling all the aha moments and the patterns that I was seeing, and the breadcrumbs that were happening, and the code breaking that I was doing, like all the things that kind of go into my expansion bucket as far as like an empowerment, and an intuitive, a psychic, a mindset coach, a belief system coach, like all of those things. I started journaling about that, and journaling the actual like 3D outcomes and conversations and realizations that I've had, whether with me, with my husband, with other people I see, whether it's online, whether it's with a client, whether it's just at the grocery store, doesn't matter. I started journaling about those things too. And once you start to journal those things with appreciation, this is the key, appreciation for the expansion, more will come. So let me know if you do anything like this, but I swear that's where the magic is. Again, you don't need some big ass other journal. I happened to buy this nice one this summer that I love. It's my 2 favorite colors, obviously raspberry and purple. But you can get a journal anywhere. You can, TJ Maxx has like the best journals in my opinion in general. But you can get a journal anywhere. And if you at least just divide it in half and do those two things, or do your own thing too, whatever. I'm an empowerment coach, so I empower people to take the data and do whatever they wish with it, but just do it. That's what's really important. Just actually show up and do it. You will start to see change. So my dog Miracle's barking, so I'm gonna let you go. But thanks for watching. Again, appreciate a subscription. Check out the show notes for all the things I shared about, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.